Chapter 14: The Heirs of Silence. The Cold War had continued unabated. Tensions between the blocs had changed in form, but not in nature. Behind the diplomatic rhetoric and historic handshakes, the United States remained haunted by its own founding lie: the lunar conquest. The more time passed, the more impossible it became to turn back. And in the shadows, a network of influential men, military men, engineers, and strategists ensured that the secret was kept, whatever the cost. This tacit pact, inherited from the early days of Roswell, had been passed down like a poisoned legacy to each generation. New NASA officials, successive presidents, senior Pentagon officials, all received, one day, the key to the file. Not an official report, but a confidential oral briefing, sometimes delivered in person in a padded office, away from any microphones. What they learned there wasn't just the truth about Roswell. It was the story of a historical error that became the pillar of an empire. They were sometimes shown blurry photographs of the debris, analyzed fragments, glass plates etched with a pattern as incomprehensible as it was hypnotic. Then they were told that without this, the transistor, the microprocessor, and therefore modern computing might not have seen the light of day for decades, and even some cutting-edge military aircraft benefited from this research and observations. But most disturbing was what they were shown next: a laboratory hidden in the desert where the technologies had been tested. A cold room, bathed in blue light, where non-human intelligence modules, recovered in a state of functional death, had been stored like relics. Panting, some presidents emerged pale, stunned, not so much by the technology, but by what it implied. Humanity had been helped, and it had never known it. Chapter 15: The Ultimate Secret. A cold light bathed the conference room buried beneath the classified research facility. The perfect acoustics muffled the echoes, as if the walls themselves wanted to keep the truth from leaking out. In this secure room, only 4 men and women were present. Around the oval table, open files, blurry images of shattered artifacts, diagrams of impossible circuits, pages blackened with calculations. Sam Kepler, the journalist, slowly closed his notebook. What he had just heard was beyond anything he had imagined. Not a story of conquering aliens, nor a secret war between superpowers. No, the truth was much more dizzying. An artificial intelligence, fallen from the sky in 1947, fragmented over several kilometers of desert.
And you still think it was designed to communicate with us?
No, she wasn't there for us. She didn't even see us. She reacted to a gravitational anomaly caused by the Trinity test, like an automatic safety sensor, a simple alert in a protocol beyond our control.
Then why would such a machine explode?
Perhaps a malfunction, a nuclear explosion too close, or a self-destruct mode activated as it approached the ground. We'll never know, but its crash changed everything. What we recovered was a graveyard of technology, and we still don't know who sent it, and if it was the little Greys. Laughs.
And did you understand something?
Just enough to copy a shadow of it, the transistor, then integrated circuits and processors. But it was like imitating an alphabet without knowing the language. We went ahead blindly, convinced we had invented something, but for 20 years, nothing new has been created.
And how? Kubrick, do you think they knew?
In any case, Kubrick guessed when he saw debris during the briefing for the Apollo 11 backup shoot. He was such a perfectionist, and it was one of his requests for the Apollo 11 shoot to know, given what we were asking, the president granted it, and then it was the 1960s. Today it would be impossible. HAL 9000 wasn't fiction. It was a projection. He understood, or rather felt, that the next intelligence on Earth would not be born from a human brain. He put everything into that red gaze, that calm voice. We needed a dream. He made it a founding work, almost a universal truth. And without knowing it, he drew the contours of our future. In return for this service, his films were widely supported thereafter as agreed.
Even Lucas and Spielberg were aware of it through their films. We think that Kubrick must have spoken to them about it. Between science fiction filmmakers, they knew each other well. Some details are disturbing. Maybe it helped them to create the future of special effects, to know the future of the processor towards AI. The most ironic thing is that the only real breakthrough was not even ours. We believed at the time that we were making the right choice and that the future would prove us right. We dreamed then of space bases, of going to other planets, of conquests. We thought then that everything was possible, that a few years would be enough, and then it was the post-war period, the Cold War. We had to rebuild and impose ourselves as leaders.
America didn't want to lose Star Wars, even if it meant winning it in the studio. So we did it. Kubrick helped us, but he regretted it all his life. The media, even Hollywood and the cinema, also participated in this great illusion. There were so many films that we co-financed or helped. The excitement was rapid. The money flowed then. It was a locomotive launched at Mach 3. We no longer controlled anything there either at a given moment. The profits were colossal. In hindsight, these films prepare humanity, so the balance sheet is not totally negative.
Yes, many politicians in the know saw themselves leaving in large spaceships and doing business with other civilizations. The cinema followed the trend. However, over the years we copied everything we could. Now we have reached our technological limits and nothing has happened as planned.
No, we had the illusion of progress, but not the essence. We recovered a technology that we didn't understand. A glass plate that isn't even glass, a dead AI, an operating logic that none of our models predicted. And we extracted the transistor, just the transistor, from hundreds of pieces of technological debris. But since then, we've only copied. We miniaturized. We calculated. But we don't invent anything anymore. So people doubt because we've accustomed them to infinite and limitless progress. And the limit is that we don't understand this technology after more than 50 years of research, and the general public no longer understands.
A silence. Then the agency director, who had remained silent until then, stood up and looked at the faces around him.
We can't blame them after 50 years of evolution. We have nothing more to offer them. Now you know why we're not going back to the moon. Why nothing is moving forward. Because we know that what we found wasn't human, and that we will never be able to reproduce it, nor understand it. Humanity has touched on knowledge that is too old, too vast, and above all, the legend of 1969 is too beautiful, too fragile. To put it back into play is to risk that this legend, created from scratch, will now collapse.
So what are we waiting for? A new probe? A second chance?
No, Sam. It wasn't an encounter, maybe a chance encounter. In my opinion, it was just a message from a civilization worried about what we're doing on Earth. A warning, perhaps.
A warning against what?
Against pride. Against the illusion that we can understand everything and do anything, like playing with nuclear fission and the atom. Intelligence is not an end in itself. What matters is what we choose to do with it, and above all, that our actions may impact their worlds, who knows?
In the dim light of the room, everyone understood that the answers were no longer in the debris of Roswell, nor in lunar dreams, but in what humanity would decide to become.
In 1947, an AI from elsewhere died silently in our desert. It said nothing. It left no prophecies. Just shards of mirror where we think we see our future. The greatest secret is not what we found, but what we did with it.
Yes, certainly, our arrogance in believing that we could easily control it and understand everything about a technology that was more than 10,000 years ahead of ours has lost us. We have locked ourselves in our lies. Cinema and Hollywood have helped us, and we are obliged to continue. We must hope that the people will forgive us the day they discover what we have done for them, for our nation, for the United States of America, and for the world.
The truth lies beyond the stars.